Good evening, Conroe ISD family. I'm Curtis Null, proud to be your superintendent here in Conroe ISD. Welcome to our October 3rd YouTube Live update. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Seemed like an appropriate time to get together as we are wrapping up our first 9-week grading period. It seems crazy to think that. The school year has just been off and running. It's going so quickly. And here we are. Also facing a long weekend for both our students and our staff, so we are looking forward to that as well. For those of you that might be new to Conroe ISD or just new to these updates, these are really our opportunity to chat with you. We like to share information. We also try to give you a little more in-depth as to the whys and hows of decisions that we make, and so that you can understand, really kind of where we are as a school district and as a community. So tonight we have a few exciting things to talk about. We're going to start off by just talking about the start of school and some of the highlights that have happened since we were last together in early August, and a lot of good news to share. And we'll hit two of our big themes for this school year: safety and growth, two things that we're talking quite a bit about. And then we're going to invite Mr. Chris McCord. He is our Assistant Superintendent for Operations to join us, and we're going to talk transportation. And that's going to be a pretty real and raw conversation about transportation, almost back to our COVID type conversations where we really kind of give you the details, and we're going to have to face some hard truths about that a little bit. And then we'll talk rezoning and that process that's ongoing in two of our feeder zones as well. So that'll be our plan, but let's start off by just telling you how nice it is to be back in kind of a normal year, not only for school, but just in our community, right? Just to be back out and about and seeing people and having great conversations, seeing you out at restaurants or just in the community. And it was brought to my attention the other day. I was talking to someone and they said, you spent a lot of time talking when we were in COVID about your daughter that was a senior, and you were facing all those same challenges as other senior parents, but you never told us what happened with your daughter. So my apologies for that. And it was very kind for someone to ask that question. So I will share. My daughter is doing very well. She did graduate in 2021 with the COVID year. She is a student at Texas Woman's University up in Denton, and she has plans to go to nursing school. So for Dad here, I'm very happy that hopefully next semester in January, she will be back in the Houston area in the Houston Med Center at nursing school. And our son, who's a 2018 graduate in Conroe ISD, is now in San Antonio attending a graduate school program. And they were actually both home this weekend. So it was a good weekend around my house. We had both kids home. As I'll go home tonight, I'll be back to our empty nest, but it'll be much more quiet and low key around my house. But it's always nice when they come home. So for those of you that are parents of younger kids, I know that you hear this all the time. People tell you, enjoy it. It goes faster than you think. And I can just assure you that is the truth. It really goes on quickly. And before you know it, they work their way through elementary, junior high, and high school, and then they're off and on to the next adventure. That may make you feel a little sad when you think that, but I will tell you the good news about that is you'll love every stage of life along the way. Certainly loved when the kids were little, but it's also great now that they're more grown and you can have more of that adult relationship with them. So that's just an update from my house, and it's really going well. Well, let's talk about the start of school. Wow, what a great start that we had. There's just something about the beginning of the school year. It helps the community get back into normal routines, and you go out and you visit schools, you see so many happy faces, our teachers, all staff members really there to greet kids and make the start of school as smooth as it could be. And I know after the last couple of years, we have learned to not take things for granted quite so much, like the start of school. I think we really have all appreciated that. And I spend those first few days really trying to get out to campuses and visit and really see what's going on. We did open one new school this year, Annette Gordon Reed Elementary. I was able to be there on the first day of school. There's always a different level of excitement when you have a brand new school to open in the school year. Now, let's talk about a few awards that we've won since we were last able to visit together. Forbes magazine names the 50 top in-state employers, and we were named in that top 50 list of a top 50 employers in the state of Texas. So we're very proud of that. That's based on surveys that our employees submitted, and there are only 3 school districts that were included in that top 50 list. So we're really proud to make that list. I think that's something that helps us, as we will talk a little later about teacher and staff shortages. It helps us to win awards like that because it lets people from the outside know that this is a place that you want to work. This is a community you want to live in and a place where you want to serve. And so we're proud of those awards. We also received updated awards from niche.com. Many of you may have gone on Niche and looked at Niche when you were looking to move here as you try to look at schools, and they rank schools in a variety of different areas. For this school year, we have been ranked the best school district in Montgomery County, the best place to teach in Montgomery County, the most diverse school district in Montgomery County, and the best school district for athletes, for student athletes in Montgomery County. So those are all wonderful awards. We're appreciative of everyone that goes to niche.com and makes comments. I think that that's a way that it helps to rank us, is when folks go in and make comments. So we would invite you to do that. But we're really proud of those awards and congratulate you all. Those are community awards. You know, as a public school district, you hear me say this a lot. We are just a mirror that's held up in front of a community. We reflect you, we reflect the community in which we serve, and we are just fortunate in Conroe ISD to serve such a wonderful community that allows us to win those awards and those accolades. Now, looking at some special events we've had since last we visited, we had Read for a Better Life Day. That's a day that we celebrate reading all across the school district. We invite people from the outside to come in and read. There's a picture of me getting a chance to read at one of our local elementary schools. We have student athletes from high schools that go and read to elementaries. You can see we have a variety of first responders, military, grandmas, grandpas, moms, dads, you name it. Folks coming in and reading to our kids as we celebrate reading. So Read for a Better Life, a very special day for us. We were proud to celebrate that just a few weeks ago. In general, I would just say it is nice to have you back on campus, parents. It's so nice as I travel around to see parents on campus. We've had so many special events, be it Read for a Better Life or other things. Watchdogs are starting back up on many campuses. As I travel around, I get to meet some dads in buildings, and that's been really special as well. And then just the big community events are back and at full capacity. So you think about those volleyball games and football and cross country meets, and you know, here it is, October. All you band parents know this is a big time for band as you're traveling around, and it's great to see our kids involved and the community back out in full force supporting our kids each and every day. So thank you for being there. We love those special events. As we start the school year, I make an effort to visit each and every one of our campuses, and I'll spend anywhere from 40 to 50 minutes on a campus, and I'll typically visit with the principal for a bit, and then we'll walk around and we visit classrooms and get to meet a lot of people and take part in some special events. At this point, I have visited about 60 of our 67 schools, and I will tell you, I could not be more impressed with the work that our schools do. The love and care that they provide for our students every day is amazing. And that starts with receptionists and administration and counselors and custodians and child nutrition workers, all the way through administration and every single teacher and instructional paraprofessional, to the great bus drivers that are often the first person that a child sees and the last person that a child sees from Conroe ISD on each and every day. They do an amazing job. You know, we're dealing with some instructional challenges, some learning challenges that were, rooted in COVID as we try to catch our students up, but also there are some social and emotional challenges that have come from COVID as well that our great staff is really working hard to support students through. So their work is not easy, but they love it and they're doing a fantastic job. And so I really do enjoy those visits. I wish that all of you could see the world through my lenses and see the great work that the teachers do on a daily basis. It is truly inspiring. One thing I want to mention to you is we have a school board election coming up in November. You'll have a long ballot in November. I just always try to remind people about school board issues because typically the school board is the last thing on your ballot. So you don't want to forget that last page as you're going through your electronic ballot. It's important that you read up on the candidates and make your choice, but make sure that your voice is heard on school board candidates and vote in those races. That's important to do. Also, just a reminder that we will be have a school holiday on the day, on Election Day. It's something that our board was committed to doing to make sure that our schools can stay as safe as possible when we have these big even year elections. We want to try to clear the schools as much as we can. So it'll be a student holiday and a staff development day on Election Day. We've also been able to celebrate a few namesakes of our buildings. So Walter Jett is the namesake of our Jett Center. This is the building that's located at Woodforest Bank Stadium. It serves as our professional development building for our teachers. We have many trainings there throughout the day. You can see here Mr. Jett with his lovely wife. And we actually dedicated that building last Friday night, and these are pictures from that event. Mr. Jett was a great educator here in Conroe ISD, and we name buildings for people for a variety of reasons. And Mr. Jett had a building named for him because he was a wonderful principal here in Conroe ISD, and he just was beloved. And we had a chance to hear from him, and I'll tell you, I could sit and listen to him talk all day long. And he made a few points that I took notes on actually during his speech that I think are important for all of us as educators to hear. And it's why it's important that we have folks like Mr. Jett still involved in our school district. He made the point that students deserve 4 things when they come to school. Number 1, they deserve to feel special. Number 2, they deserve to be loved every day. Number 3, they deserve to feel safe in their school each and every day. And number 4, they deserve the best education possible. And this is a man that started his career decades and decades ago, and still those 4 tenets ring true to us today in everything that we do. So Mr. Jett, congratulations on having the new building named in your honor, and we're certainly proud of that, and we're appreciative of the fact that you are still involved with us here in Conroe ISD. Now, when we have namesakes that are still living, it's truly a treat that we can celebrate with them and we can learn and grow with them. And part of the reality of naming schools after those that are living is that there is a time that comes when we lose those namesakes, and that it's hard on us, it's hard on that campus. And we've experienced that loss here recently in Conroe ISD, as just recently Mr. Tom Cox passed away. Mr. Cox was the namesake of Cox Intermediate, located over in the Grand Oaks feeder zone. Certainly a man of very high character, great Conroe ISD family, and we give all of our best to the family, and we will be memorializing him later this week. So Mr. Cox, thank you for all that you've done in our community, and we wish nothing but the best to your family. And on one more note on school namesakes, as I mentioned, we opened Annette Gordon Reed Elementary this year, and we will be dedicating that building this Thursday evening. And Professor Gordon Reed will be here. Professor Gordon Reed is a Harvard Law School professor. She is a Pulitzer Prize winner, and she is a Conroe High School graduate. And so a very worthy person to have a school named after. We'll look forward to having her present and celebrating her as we dedicate our newest elementary school in her honor. Now, let's move on to this school year and talk about a few of the major themes. As I go out and I get a chance to talk about our school district to the community, these are the 2 biggest things that I talk about over and over. And number 1 is safety. And we talked about this a few months ago about our dedication to safety, and you can see a lot of our plans in action now. Certainly our schools are following a more strict protocol as far as doors being locked and secured. You're seeing more officers as we continue to try to hire more officers. You see more officers present in buildings, more not necessarily police officers, but prevention control officers who are like security guards also in our buildings that help us out as well. TEA has come out with many regulations and things that they want us to do to improve our schools. Most of what they've asked for are things that we've been doing for years and years, but part of their new plan was to do audits, where they are sending folks in to check our buildings. I'm proud to report that we've had 3 safety audits so far. 3 of our buildings have been checked, and all 3 passed with flying colors. So those are, we're very proud of that, and we're thankful for the great work that our schools do. And if the day comes where we have a situation where a school doesn't perform quite as well, that'll be a learning opportunity for us, and While we hope that doesn't happen, if it does and it comes through that process, we will address it as we need to. But so far, we are 3 for 3 with perfect audit results, so we're thankful for that. Now, growth. This is a big one. We all feel it. Depending upon where you live, you may feel it more than in other places, but I think all of us in Montgomery County are feeling it. Traffic is up. People are moving here because they want to be here, which is a good thing. People want to be in this community. They want to raise their families in this community. They want their kids to come to our schools, which is something that we all appreciate. And yet it also brings with it real challenges. So when we look at our growth over the last couple of years, I will tell you that we have typically grown about 1,500 students a year in Conroe ISD. That's been our normal growth for year after year after year, about 1,500 students a year. Well, that has not been the case here in these last 2 years. So you can see from 2 years ago on this date, we were at 64,527 kids. Today, we are at 70,756 kids. So that's almost 4,000 more students than where we were last year, and well over 6,000 more students than where we were 2 years ago. Those are numbers that you can feel, right? Just to give you perspective on that, Montgomery ISD has just over 7,000 students. So we have grown in just the last 2 years almost the size of Montgomery ISD. Now, that puts strains on everything. Once again, from traffic to our buildings, you name it, we feel that strain as a community. So we budgeted for 69,400 students this year. So we are well past what we budgeted for. We assumed that we would be moving back closer to the 2,000 student increase this year, but that didn't happen. We're closer to 4,000. We've had a recent demographic study commissioned, and while it's not totally finished yet, they have sent us a very preliminary executive summary, and the results are in that this current growth trend that we are seeing is going to be our new normal. So instead of 1,500 per year, we are now going to be trending at about 3,000 students per year. That's a significant change. For us as a school district, we've gotten very accustomed to opening one school, maybe 2 schools a year, and that's enabled us to keep up with growth. Well, with this accelerated growth, we now are opening 1 or 2 schools per year, but we are falling further and further behind. In fact, we have about 2,000 more kids today in the school district than we have seats in classrooms for kids. And so that's why we have so many portables in use. We have 217 portable buildings in use right now. And if you look to the future, next year we will open a new junior high and we will open a new elementary. So we will gain approximately 2,500 seats. But if we add 3,000 students, we're going to fall further behind. The next year we have 1 elementary opening. That will be 1,000 seats. So if we add another 3,000 students that year, we're going to fall even further behind. So at some point, we're going to have to work as a community to not only catch up from where we're already behind, but then we have to look forward and get ahead. If you think about 3,000 students per year, I'm just going to try to give you a little more perspective on that. In 5 years, we will add 15,000 students. I looked at another one of our neighbors just to try to help myself wrap my head around this. Magnolia ISD is just out to our west, wonderful school district. They do a great job. In Magnolia, they have a little under 14,000 students total in their school district. Once again, we're going to add 15,000 in the next 5 years. Magnolia ISD has 2 high schools, 2 junior highs, 2 intermediates, and I believe 8 elementaries to serve their 14,000 students. We're going to add 15,000 students in the next 5 years, which would tell you that we are going to need to have a comparable number of schools to serve those kids that are incoming. So those create challenges for us. I know many of you and the rezoning questions that have come in have said, what is the plan for the future? My kids are at a school that's already overcrowded. Are we going to rezone? What will be the plan? Well, currently, all of our schools are overcrowded. Some are at 130%, 140% even of capacity, but almost all of them are at 95% or above. So it's not as if we have empty seats throughout the district that we could rezone folks and just move kids to less crowded schools. They are all running pretty much at capacity. So that means in the future that our community will have to consider a bond committee to come together and make a decision on if we should build new schools in the future to deal with that capacity, and where might they be, and what would they look like as far as high schools or junior highs, elementaries. Those are all questions that a future bond committee might have to look at, in addition to what upgrades need to be done to our older buildings to make sure that they can continue to serve kids and give the same educational opportunities to kids. So that's something that we're going to have to look at certainly in the future. But it's not just about seats when you grow that fast. You add 4,000 students, you also have to have staff to serve them. So you think about the number of teachers that you have to add. Since the first day of school, just since the very first day of school this year, we have added over 3,000 students. So we have continuously opened more teaching positions as the school year have gone on, but not just teaching positions, paraprofessional positions, bus driver positions, child nutrition positions, even lawn crew positions. You know, that's as we went through a drought all summer, and then it rained so much during the year, and then all of a sudden all the grass started growing and it was time to mow. We're short lawn crew guys, and some of you saw that in your neighborhoods, and we see that even in the county medians where they're struggling to keep up as well. We've had those struggles where we've had to try to catch up, but the system gets strained when you have that much growth. Now, this is a difficult time to be hitting a giant growth spurt, because the labor market throughout the country is down. It's a difficult market right now to hire anybody anywhere. And so here we are in a situation where not only do we have to hire our normal number of people, but now we're hiring twice as many people because our growth is more than doubled what it typically does. So we just find ourselves in a spot, and we're fortunate once again to be in a place where people want to move. So we do have new talent that's moving in all the time, and we can try to recruit them in to work for us. But it is a real difficult thing to deal with, and probably where we're seeing it the most difficult place for us to deal with right now is in transportation. And I know that you're feeling that as well if you have kids that ride the bus. The transportation system is strained. So I've asked Mr. McCord to join us here this evening. Welcome, Mr. McCord.
Good evening, sir.
Absolutely. Good to have you. So Mr. McCord is our Assistant Superintendent for Operations, does a wonderful job overseeing all of our departments. That includes child nutrition and custodial and maintenance, planning and construction, but transportation is one of the big ones. Health services, another big one that's been a huge piece of the last 2 years. But here we are. Now we still have teacher shortages because we continue to add teacher positions, and we have about 50 teacher positions, but you spread those out over 67 campuses, and we're hiring more teachers every day because teachers are out there, and that works well, and so we get them hired. But as we add 4,000 students, and about 2/3 of our kids ride the bus on any given day, we started the school year short bus drivers. Now we've added in a few thousand more bus riders. We need more routes, and we're short bus drivers.
Well, the story is we've added 15 routes in just the last 2 years. As you drive across the fruited plain and you see billboards and you see 18-wheelers and you see TV ads and hear radio ads, in the country there's tremendous need for and competition for CDL drivers. So we love our CDL drivers. From that smaller that's available pool of CDL drivers, we need to hire and retain and attract drivers that enjoy being around kids, can drive a bus through one of the fastest growing but best counties in America, and are amenable to doing what it takes to be a great bus driver. So we effort to attract and retain those. We've got a great district, and so we've had 2 job fairs in the last 2 months, and we've been able to attract 58 applicants. We have a job fair coming up on October 25th, and I believe Mr. Stewart has a graphic here. If you know of someone who might be interested, or you're interested yourself, it's October 25th. It's at 9:30 a.m. at the Oak Ridge Transportation Center. You can go to the Conroe ISD website to get more information, and we would love to have you. I will tell you that we've really elevated our wages. We've got competitive wages. We have attendance incentives and picking up run as a part of a route incentives that started today. We've already got great feedback from the principals about how that is going. Great new uniform tops, a focus group of drivers have told us they were interested in having. And so there are things to be excited about in transportation, and we're working to make it happen.
Yeah, and so the challenge, like you said, is just the number of bus drivers that exist in the world. They're just not out there. Like you said, people that have the CDL or commercial driver's license, the same driver's license that would have you to drive a bus could have you drive a truck for Kroger. It could also have you drive a truck in an oil field somewhere where you might make a lot of money. And so, there are certain there are definite perks to working for the school district, right? This is a great place to be. You can work close to home. You can be on the same calendar as your children. So many perks, but it is a difficult job. It's hard. And you think about just our own commute every day in traffic is hard enough, but I'm not driving a big yellow bus full of children that I'm also responsible for their behavior as I'm driving. And so it does take a special person. And I visit with our bus drivers, and it's a calling for a lot of them. You folks that are retired, had great engineering careers or whatever careers it may have been, and now they come and they drive. And we also have great career bus drivers. They love their job. We just need more of them.
They are, and they are appreciated. And there's a special group I want to recognize too that people may not realize, and that is, so right now, for example, we have 382 routes. Right now we have 39 open routes. And when we have an absence or we need to pick up an open route, our shop crew or our office staff drive, because they're CDL certified also. So the effort has to be to continually improve our total routes. And what really works well is when the regular bus driver is there. And they are there every day. They know the students, they know the parents, they know the geography, they know the terrain. And that is what we are efforting to get. But when we have staff in the office that drive, or we have shop that drive, it takes them away from what they need to do every day. And many years ago, I know one thing we did when I was on a campus, we worked with technology and we worked with transportation, and we started the bus hub system. I was principal of a third-tier school. I knew how important it was that parents be updated when a bus ran into traffic or something that happened. But when our office staff are out driving, it makes it harder to get those bus hubs out. And if we can get regular run drivers in behind the wheel every day, it will really mitigate the amount of bus hubs that we send out. Now, things happen, traffic and things of that nature, traffic and breakdowns. But that's the key, is keeping the real route driver behind the wheel.
Yeah, so let's talk. We're going to kind of break it down here, go to a little bit more to try to help you see the situation. And part of this, what I want to stress to you is, none of this is about making excuses. We all would love our buses to run on time, be perfect each and every day. But this conversation is about reality tonight, so that you can understand the reality of the situation as well and kind of where it is moving forward. But let's talk about the basics of the transportation system. You mentioned third tier.
Correct.
So we run a 3-tier busing system, meaning the first round is high schools, and then we pick up and deliver our elementary schools, and then we pick up and deliver our middle schools, intermediates, and junior high. So we have 3 different levels. Schools start at 3 different times. In some school districts, you'll see they may only run 2-tier system. So they only have 2 start times. We have to run a 3-tier system for a variety of reasons, one of which is we are 348 square miles. So geographically, we are very spread out. I believe we are either the first or second largest geographic district in the entire Houston area. Lamar Consolidated, way down in South Houston, is also geographically very big like us. We also have high ridership. So what is our number? Is it over 40,000?
It's right at 40,000.
So 40,000 kids every day ride the bus. So we are transporting a lot of kids. We're transporting them all across the district, so some very long runs. And then in addition to that, we have traffic situation. We don't have special lanes on I-45. So when that freeway stops, our buses stop as well. So those are all things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. The real answer for solving it, as you said, solving this problem is we need more bus drivers, more regular daily bus drivers that can be on their normal route. Once again, the challenge is, do they exist? We're doing all that we can to recruit them. But if you tuned in tonight to find out, like, are we going to solve this problem next week? And is my child's bus going to get home earlier because I know that it's putting a strain on getting you to extracurricular activities and those things? The short answer is we can continue to hopefully make incremental improvements, but this problem will not be solved until we can get more bus drivers. And to get the commercial driver's license, what is the training aspect of that? What is the length of time?
Well, it can vary, but probably it averages between 6 and 8 weeks. And it's a lot more involved than it used to be, from your CLP, which is your commercial learner's permit, to ELDT, which is your entry-level driver training, and to actually getting your driver's license, your CDL. It's a little more lengthy than it used to be. If you're interested, our department will do a great job in helping you every step of the way to train you and to get you over the goal line, so to speak, to be a CDL driver. So we are interested, we will help you, and we have a lot of people in the process. We have a lot of people in the queue that are coming on board all the time. We're excited about that. We're also excited, we have accelerated our process of ordering new buses. So we have 60 new buses that are coming. Right now, in the world, there is a 14-month wait to acquire new buses once you order them. And so we have about half those buses coming in February and about half of them coming in November of 2023. But they're air-conditioned seatbelt buses we feel good about to help modernize our fleet, and so we're excited about that. You may have heard me talk from time to time. We are implementing a system known as Smart Tag, which is a passive RFID system which tracks the buses. It does not track the children, but I think what you are really going to like is, as a parent, it will allow you to know definitively if your child is on the bus and receive a notification when the bus arrives close to the bus stop near your house, both in the morning and the afternoon. So whether it's hot, cold, rainy, or in between, I think that is something that parents are really going to like. I will tell you, we are in the implementation phase now. We have 608 buses, so we have to acquire the hardware, we have to get it installed, and most importantly, we have to vet the data. The data has to be clean to make it work the way we want it to work. We did a pilot in the spring in the Oak Ridge feeder zone, and it worked well, and we are going to start rolling it out. Our plan and hope and desire is in January.
Yeah, and it'll take time. So it won't be one of those situations where January all the buses will be up and running. We'll have to phase it in.
Correct.
But I do think that will help us. So we look at the things of what are we doing now to make incremental improvements in the system. And one of the things that we did is we've had great conversations with our bus drivers. And Mr. McCord and Mr. Rice, our CFO, have convened a group of leaders in the bus in the transportation department, bus drivers, and gotten feedback. And so some of the changes that Mr. McCord mentioned earlier are changes that we've had to incentivize better attendance of our bus drivers, and just really to let them know that we see them doing extra and we appreciate the extra work that they're doing. And it's just a reminder for everybody that I know that we can get frustrated as a community when the buses are late or when things happen, but the folks that are showing up every day are the ones that are trying to improve it. So if kindness goes a long way. And I guess one of the most upsetting things to me, I think, Mr. McCord, when we sat with the bus drivers, and I know this is not the normal, right? These are anomalies and people can get emotional, but to listen to the bus drivers talk about how they're sometimes treated by parents on a route, when it's not their fault necessarily that they're running late, and yet they get to the bus stop and they're screamed at or cursed at, or like that was really upsetting. And that doesn't inspire people to want to do that job. And I think that's something that all of us, we think about what can we do as a community to help this improve. We can treat those that are showing up with kindness. And that reminder too, that person driving the bus today, their real job might have been to be in the office. And that person, you were trying to call them and you've left them a voicemail, and you're wondering why they haven't called you back. It's because they're driving a bus, and they would definitely rather be in the office to be able to call you back, but they're driving a bus to try to make sure we get everybody home. And for us, our focus has remained trying to keep our service the same as it has been. Now, the real solution at this point, if we don't have more drivers, a real solution to become more consistent would be to reduce service. That's not something that we want to do, but I do think that's something that we have to be aware of in looking into the future, if we can't add more bus drivers, let's say we're going to add another 3,000 or 4,000 students next year and add 15 more routes. So we're already 30 or 40 short. We're going to need to add 15 or 20 more in addition to whoever may leave this year. At some point, what we're doing will become untenable. We will not be able to continue with what we're doing. And what could that look like? It could look like a variety of things. Once again, it's not what we want it to be, but we could expand the distance out that we would provide transportation. We could extend the walk to stop so that we have fewer stops and we can move our buses even more quickly. We read an article, and I actually talked to somebody in Lake Travis ISD. That's a school district in the Austin area. They actually only provide bus service to their students every other week. So one week you get bus service, the next week you don't. So bus drivers have two different routes. It depends on the week, which routes they run. All of those things sound incredibly difficult. It's not what we want. It's why we are going to continue to push forward with our current plan, knowing that it's imperfect, knowing that there are days when it runs late. And I would just encourage you on those days or nights that you have a special event that you have to get to, and if you're worried that the bus could be late on any given day, that might be a day to try to find a carpool to make that work. But we're going to keep pushing forward, doing all we can to improve it. But I don't want to give the false hope tonight that next week is just going to be fixed, because that's not going to be the case. It's not unique to us. That same article I read said 85% of school districts across the nation are facing this exact same thing. But we'll keep working on it. We would encourage you to continue to show your appreciation to your bus driver. And I think that would help us as well as we get the word out. It's hard on social media, and I understand people, you get upset when a bus is late. That's
Correct.
Normal. I get it. You worry about your kids. I know that. But when everything on social media is negative, it's really hard to talk to the bus drivers who feel like they're doing all they can, because they are, and then they just constantly feel like they've been beaten down, and it's easy to walk away from a job when that's your feeling. And so we want to try to create an atmosphere as a community where they know we appreciate them, we know the job they're doing is really hard, and that they're choosing to do it, and we want to inspire more people to come do the job rather than push people away from the job. I think we can do that as a community. That's kind of who we are. It's the way we operate, and we would appreciate any help that you can give us there. Our campuses are working hard to appreciate the bus drivers as well, and we'll continue to do that. So anything else that we would add, Mr. McCord, on transportation?
I would just reiterate what Dr. Knoll said. I get people asking me all the time what they could do to help, and that's great. What I would say is just to echo what Dr. Knoll said, showing appreciation of the drivers. They're good people that really care about kids and helping and making the district better and the community better. And showing appreciation goes a long way, whether it be in person, whether it be in an email, or whether it be online, social media. Just showing your appreciation and support, that makes a big difference, and that's one thing you can do. And we are determined to do everything possible to maintain our level of service, and I'm comfortable and confident we're going to be able to make it happen. And we have a lot of people moving to make it make it happen.
And applications are open. Remind you, just have those conversations with, people in your life that maybe are retired and looking for something to do, or just looking for a career. This is a great place to work, and you build into the teacher retirement system just like all employees do. There are a lot of benefits to working in our transportation department. And so encourage those good people in your life that may be looking for something that, it is a good job. We have the job fairs. I think we just recently got a billboard up.
Billboard
right,
as of about an hour ago.
Okay, so the billboard is up, once again, advertising. So just to kind of put a bow on the transportation talk, we know the challenges exist. We feel that too. We understand your frustration. I think it's valid. It's real. We understand it. We are working on the things that we can do to try to help make it better. We're doing all that we can to hire more drivers. We're doing all that we can to accommodate the drivers that we have, and give them more incentive to have perfect attendance and to be at work. We are looking at solutions, including the app that's coming in the future that's going to help us. So we are building all those solutions, but the real solution to solve the problem is we need more bus drivers. And so if we can all work together to inspire that, inspire people to apply, we have a chance to solve this. But it's not going to be a quick fix, but it's something that we can all aspire to correct moving forward. And I think we can get it done. We're just going to need you to be kind of in the long run here with us, because it's not going to be too quick.
If you're interested and you have your CDL, or you know of someone who may be interested in driving and they have their CDL, we can fast track that a lot more quickly, and we're happy to talk to them and see what we can do to make an arrangement.
And we'll have a retention stipend in the spring that's $1,000. So in addition to normal pay, if you start now or you start at the very beginning of the next semester, there'll be a $1,000 retention stipend that will come to those folks as well. So that applies to all Conroe ISD employees. So once again, thank you to our transportation department. Thank you to everybody from mechanics to office staff and drivers who are going above and beyond every day. We appreciate you. We see you. And we know that we can't have school without you. The kids need you and count on you to not only get them to school, but to be that first person that has a positive interaction with them every day, and the last person to wish them a good night as they get off the bus and head back to their home. So we're appreciative of transportation. Now, another area where growth is real is when we open new schools, we have to put kids at the new schools, right? Sir. And so we do rezoning, and that's a process that, once again, we're used to doing. We've opened typically 1 or 2 new schools every year. That's a pace that will probably be speeding up, and so we're going to have to analyze our systems moving forward. But right now, we are preparing for 2 new schools to open next year. One is Hines Elementary, and one is Moorhead Junior High, which is a little more confusing because Moorhead Junior High already exists, but you want to explain that a little bit?
So we're actually in a boundary process committee right now for the new school known as Veterans Memorial, which is in the Grangerland and the Caney Creek feeder. Veterans Memorial is a campus that is currently at the moment Moorhead Junior High. It has 1,050 capacity, and we are building a new Moorhead Junior High, which is over off Grangerland Road. It's going to be beautiful. But when the new Moorhead Junior High goes into operation of August of 23, the current Moorhead Junior High will be known as Veterans Memorial. Veterans Memorial, currently Moorhead Junior High at one time was Grangerland Intermediate. So what that will do is relieve overcrowding at the current Grangerland Intermediate. And I salute the students and the parents and the staff. Grangerland Intermediate, everyone involved with it has done a great job of making that building work. So I salute Karen Jones, the staff, the parents, the kids, everybody involved. So it's going to be a wonderful day when Veterans Memorial Intermediate opens. It's also going to be a great day when the new Moorhead Junior High opens. It has a capacity of 1,600 versus the old capacity of 1,050 at the building that currently is Moorhead Junior High. And I believe the last time I looked, Moorhead Junior High was somewhere in the 1,300s at the moment. So that entire community is growing. It's growing fast. I looked at Caney Creek today. Caney Creek is probably days, if not weeks, away from going over capacity as far as Caney Creek High School. But that East County is growing. It's growing fast. It's a good place to be. You're seeing a lot of movement and a lot of growth in the South. If you are looking for a Sunday drive, just somewhere to go, if you have not driven from 242 and 45 to 242 and 59 in the last couple of years, you would not believe it when you drive, that what all is coming along that road. Also, we're seeing a lot of growth on the north side of the Caney Creek feeder, and on what I would call the eastern edge of the central part of the Caney Creek feeder. Our demographers are showing that area is poised to explode. So a lot of good things, a lot of people. I salute the people doing the construction of the 242 bridge. They're rolling through that. Yeah. So that corridor is coming, and it's coming fast.
One of the questions that came through the YouTube chat was, well, what about Grand Oaks? And it's overcrowded as a high school. It is overcrowded as a high school. I would tell you that we have 3 high schools that are overcrowded. Conroe High School has almost 5,000 students, projected to get to 8,600. Correct. It's already the 4th largest high school in the state at 5,000. So there'll need to be a conversation in the future about, what will we do with Conroe High School. Caney Creek High School, as you mentioned, it will reach its capacity probably this year. If not next year, we'll go over capacity for sure. The future of Caney Creek is something that will have to be considered. And then Grand Oaks, as the question came in, also is campus that will have to be considered as to what we will do there. And when you look at high schools, you have multiple options. Do you do additions to the schools? You do ninth grade campuses? Do you rezone? Or do you build a new school somewhere and then completely rezone? Those are all options. So we talked about the Veterans Memorial piece, where the Caney Creek side, but to the Grand Oaks question, we have an elementary school because we have 2 elementaries in the Grand Oaks feeder that are over 130% capacity, correct?
We do. That would be Snyder and Broadway. And we're excited. And Mr. Stewart, if you can show us the picture of Dr. Christopher J. Hines Elementary School. This is opening on Lexington. It's currently under construction. You may have seen it. It's in the Woodson's Reserve area. And that is an area that's poised for explosive growth on the east-northeast side of the Grand Oaks feeder. There's a lot of room left for growth in Grand Oaks. We're excited about this campus. It'll have a 950-person capacity, and it will serve grades kindergarten through 4th grade. We're currently going through a boundary committee process with this campus, just like we are with Veterans Memorial, with the rezoning in Grangerland. And we're just happy to have a fantastic group of parents on both committees helping us through the times of zoning. And we're excited about opening it up. It will give us help for Broadway and for Snyder and maybe Bradley. We're going to have to look at it, but we have to keep in mind that Dr. Christopher J. Hines Elementary is going to have a lot of growth coming where it lies as far as whatever zone it ends up with. So we're having to be strategic and be smart about how we make the zone. But we got a great group, and we're excited about it.
So the future there in the Grand Oaks feeder, as we've efforted throughout the district, our board has been very proactive in trying to acquire land for future school sites. We are working on contracts in that Grand Oaks feeder for future elementary, intermediate, potentially secondary schools as well. So that's something that in the future you may see. And we take all that into account. We talk about these rezoning committees, as Mr. McCord mentioned, made up of principals and parents and a lot of district staff that come through as well and try to offer information. But you can be involved as well in the community. If you're not on the committee, there are many opportunities for you to come to meetings, join online meetings, even submit your own recommendations that can be shared to the committee. I'd like to show you our website, if I can, where you can find information about when the meetings will be and what those may look like. Andrew, do we have that capacity? There we go. So here we are on just the main Conroe ISD website and Conroe ISD ABC. So if you go right here, you can click on that and get to the attendance boundary process here. And there's some just factual information. These are all the things that we consider. We know that rezoning families is a big deal, and family histories with schools, and so it's not something that's taken lightly. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we have room for students, and so that's what we do. And then here is our process. So if you're interested in Hines Elementary, you can go here and learn more about that in the Grand Oaks feeder. If you're interested in Veterans Memorial, you can go here. We'll just click one so that you can see. I know that I believe you have a couple of meetings this week, Mr. McCord. Is that right here?
We have a webinar tomorrow night at 6 p.m. and then we have a meeting on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. In person. So
places here that you can submit feedback. There's a lot of questions, places where you can ask your questions, and then once again, different meeting dates are available, and you can do the same thing with Veterans Memorial. It's the same basic process there as well, where you can see the meeting dates. But we encourage you to be involved in that process. You can have a voice even if you're not on the committee. You can also, have chats with your principal, or if you know the parent that's on the committee as well, and have your voice heard that way. But it's not a process, once again, that's taken lightly. We give it proper time, we give it proper consideration, and eventually the board has to make a decision. The good news about it is all our schools are great. And so sometimes people get moved from a school and they're really upset that I had to move to this different school, but then you see them 6 months later and they say, you know what, it worked out. The new school's great too, and that's what we like to hear, that people do love our schools. So let's go. I'm going to go to the questions here and see if we've had any new ones come in. Just a couple questions about COVID and attendance. I think it's a good time to talk about attendance. We need to work on our attendance percentage as a school district. kids are most successful when they're present in school. This intersection is one of Dr. Hines' great things that he talks about. This intersection of days when the teacher is present in class and the kid is present in class, that's when the learning happens. And it seems sort of self-explanatory, but that's what you need. And so when we have better teacher attendance because we have fewer COVID cases in the world, and then we have better student attendance for the same reason and a variety of reasons, we can get more learning done. And we need the extra time right now. So we need kids in school. We don't need sick kids in school. So please know that when your child's sick, I'm still saying keep them home when they're sick. But when they're healthy, it's important that you get them to school each and every day. How does, one of the questions is, how does COVID affect the 90% rule of attendance? Any illness is treated the same way. If you have illnesses, you have doctor's notes, you'll need to turn those in to the school. You may have an attendance committee that would meet on your student. The state's requirement is that you have at least 90% attendance. We would hope as a school district that we would be closer to 95%. That's where we typically are as a school district, about 95%. And you'll never be at 100 because people get sick.
They do.
I think that's normal. There's nothing wrong with missing a day of school when you're sick, but it's those days when we're choosing not to come or we just didn't feel like coming. Those are the challenges where we need to really get our attendance rate up to the best we can. I had a question here, I believe, about COVID as well. I think we are, we're pushing through that at this point. We saw maybe a little increased number of cases at the beginning of the school year. It's normal at the beginning of the school year to have an increase in illness. People have been away. Some years it's strep throat, some years it's a stomach bug, and we may have seen COVID this year. But for the most part, we're handling that well. I don't anticipate, a change in future restrictions based on COVID. I believe we just want to try to continue to do the things that keep us healthy. We want to wash our hands. We want to do those things, but I don't anticipate any future changes with COVID. Well, it looks like that really has wrapped up most of our questions. Thank you, Mr. McCord, once again for being here. Thank you all for joining us tonight as we had a chance to highlight the good news of what's going on, talk a little bit about safety, have that kind of real conversation about transportation and where we are, and then a look at the rezoning process, and all the while knowing that the growth in our school district is tangible and it affects all of these things. But we wouldn't really want it any other way. We want to welcome more great people to our community, and we will continue to effort to provide the greatest of education to all the students, be it students that have been with us forever or students that are moving here new. So thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully you have a chance to get out this evening and enjoy the beautiful weather. We'll take advantage of it while we have it, and we wish you all a great evening. Thank you.